Hello and welcome back to Behind the Album, a podcast where we talk about a wide variety of artists and their careers. I'm your host, Jake Marks, and in today's episode, we will be discussing Spoon's newest album, They Want My Soul. Spoon is an indie/alternative rock band based out of Austin, Texas, who, in my opinion, does a great job putting a sophisticated modern twist on what would otherwise be a solid rock sound. The early 2000s hold Spoon's albums that were not necessarily the most revolutionary songs for that time period. However, their music consisted of strong grooves, catchy melodies, and great vocals from frontman Britt Daniel. These songs were very accepted by their audience and probably would have been just as appreciated in any other decade. Some of these albums were Girls Can Tell, Gimme Fiction, Ga 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 Ga, and Kill the Moonlight. Even after albums that did their reputation great justice, Spoon continued to deliver pure, organic sounding recordings. They kept the low, crisp sound of the drums, the soft bass, the thin guitar, and eventually even intertwined strings and synth sounds. Even in Spoon's poppier moments, they continued to experiment, add new sounds, and keep the really gritty style in their recordings. Now, at this point, it's been about 6 years from Spoon's last album, Transference, which wasn't a huge step forward from the band, but it wasn't a huge disappointment either. And Spoon at this point is a band who has released so many different records that I don't believe they'll ever really disappoint their audience. With They Want My Soul, Spoon yet again delivers a very groovy pop and rock album that has some hits and has some misses. The song Knock Knock Knock, for example, has such beefy and well produced drums mixed with really dramatic guitars layered over each other, and then comes the whistles and the strings and a flare of synth. Spoon is not always layered this heavily throughout this album and their career, but when they are, it's good. One song that is a little more stripped back is Do You, which has a punchy drum part and a nice rhythm guitar, which makes it simple yet interesting at the same time. Rainy Taxi is another example of a song that has a solid drum beat with washy guitar sounds and catchy lyrics. And I say that in a good way. This is the type of interesting studio experimentation that I like to hear because why not experiment a little bit? So, as modern as Spoon sounds, you're still able to pick up some of the basic roots from songs that you would expect to find in the late 60s and early 70s. Like the song Let Me Be Mine, which starts off with a simple, straightforward rhythm guitar part that led to more rock-based albums. Now, with all this being said, there are some songs that don't really resonate as well with me. For example, the first song, Rent I Pay, which at first I thought had a solid feel with decent melodies behind it, but the more I listen to it, the more stale it becomes. Another song that I didn't think was so strong was I Just Don't Understand, which has a moodier feel and lyrics that just make you think, why did they think this was a good line? It's at these moments where I start to think to myself, maybe the critics are right when they say Spoon is too generic and not adventurous enough. But then I come to remember that Inside Out is on this album, which in my opinion is probably the strongest track of the album. So although this album didn't completely blow me away, it was definitely enjoyable to listen to, and I found it very interesting. With that being said, I recommend it to anyone who's into rock, indie rock, alternative, or any experimental music. And as always, thank you for listening to Behind the Album, and if you want to hear more behind the album, make sure to check out the rest of the videos on my YouTube channel, or go to www.behindthealbum.weebly.com. I'll see you guys next time.